Welcome to Inside Moto Show, part of the mxvice network. A new podcast series available on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Inside Motor Show is brought to you by Even Strokes, a UK-based motocross shop where 25% of all sales go into running mxvice. The home of fastest carbon knee braces, kite wheels and parts, Armour sports supplements, and just one kit bundles. Even Strokes has you covered. I had the pleasure of talking to the legendary Robin Walters, aka DocWob, co-founder of Foxhill's VMXDN, DocWob Parts, and former Mechanic and Smith Goggle guy. I really enjoyed this one. I hope you guys do too. I would like to welcome to the studio the legend that is DocWob, who's kind of been there, seen it, done it. Actually selling t-shirts now with VMXDN on and everything. So welcome to the mxvice studio. Doc, it's great to have you in here. Obviously, we've kind of walked past each other in the pits, said hello, but never really had a discussion until today.
No, well, thanks for having me. It's nice that you're interested in anything I can come up with. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I've known you for quite a few years. Never really had much to do with it. No offense.
No.
You know,
sometimes it's the best way.
I've usually when I'm in the pits, got my head down. I've got somewhere to go, and I want to go home.
Well, it's kind of funny because obviously I'm quite old school, and everybody knows me as being quite old school. I've got my 1990 KX100. Next door, which that's the one I managed to buy back, what I used to ride.
Nice.
And, I am kind of a 90s motocross kid. I started in the 80s or whatever. So I watch your stuff. I listen to the podcast that you're on. So for me, it's really nice to get you on because it's kind of like somebody who's quite close to an era of what I love and respect and stuff like that. And now I've kind of got in this kind of business role I've got with mxvice. It's a completely different environment to kind of that side, because I guess if ever I was ever to run a media business, the 90s would have been the coolest time to have ever ran mxvice, and I think it would have excelled even more than it is now.
I think looking back, the 90s were a lot cooler than they felt at the time. And I was lucky enough to go to the States the first time in 93 and spend a lot of time with Brian Swink and Jeff Glass and Numac, who was my guy. And I got to meet a lot of the cool people then. And then back with Paul Eddy and then Factory Suzuki. It was good. I mean, but you didn't realize in 93, you're watching McGrath, number 15 on the Honda. And you still look at those times now. And to us then, it was just new kid who's doing good. And you're just trying to make a name for yourself or trying to do the best job you can because nobody knows you. Nobody knows what you're capable of. When I got there, I was surprised at the level of mechanics that were doing the job. They couldn't open up engines. They do a top end, but they couldn't do a gearbox, couldn't build suspension, couldn't build wheels. I was doing stuff for Ray Somo and Glass. I was helping them build their bikes because their mechanics couldn't do that stuff. And it's just like, I remember the one time we had a gearbox issue and they're like, oh, ship it to Tom Morgan. And I'm like, well, I'll take it apart and see what it needs. And he's like, I bet you $100 it won't start again. I'm like, I'll fucking show you.
Thanks for the 100.
Yeah. So I tore it apart way more than you should, really. I took the cylinder off, took all the power valves out, all the V-block, took everything apart, filled the whole fucking bench with it. Far more than you'd ever need to. Put it back together, and fucking for the life of me, it started first kick.
Wow.
I just couldn't pay for that. It was mega.
Love that.
And, Numac, who I was working for, he had his chick with him all the time and didn't want to do much with me. So I ended up, Swink used to live in Ocala, which was 40 minutes away. I ended up just staying there with Swink, and Swink was the funnest fucking guy.
Really?
Oh, fucking chaos. Absolute. When you say to people, oh, I'm mad I am.
There's levels.
These boys are fucking chaos.
Really?
And, they're young. They got so much money. And everybody thinks they're great. They get away with fucking murder. It was fun times growing up, but it's what it is. You got to do your job. You can't not do your job. But I used to have a lot of fun with them.
What do you, because this is I spoke to Lucas Myrtle I spoke to him in sort of January this year, and I got to catch up with him again at Redbird. And obviously he's looking after the Lawrence brothers now and stuff like that. But his background was he was the mechanic for one of the Crusty Demons. And
Yes.
basically, they're out partying all night, and he was the only guy who was up in the day to answer the phone. So that's how he naturally got into this whole business role. So why? I mean, they were able to race. They were able, and the talent of that era was
Ricky
unreal.
Carmichael fucked it up. He absolutely fucked it, because McGrath and Jeremy, and Emig and those guys were having fun, and they were playing mind games a little bit. They were training more than they said they were.
Yeah,
but I didn't see it. I just, we used to hang out with them a fair bit, and Ricky fucked it. Ricky just came out of the gate, worked so hard, and changed the game.
Really,
not only in riding style, but in effort that now needs to be put in with your Alden Bakers. Nobody had any of that shit. Nobody was doing any of that.
So Ricky was the guy who changed the game.
Ricky fucked it.
So Ricky took the fun out of motocross. That's what we're saying.
Pretty much. Between Ricky and Yamaha making a 4-stroke, that's pretty much the two things that fucked the job up.
I think we should just end the podcast now. I think we just summed up what's gone wrong.
There you go. We got it. We fixed it.
We fixed it, yeah. So looking back, those are two iconic moments. So, I've got a bit of a thing with, obviously I love 2-strokes and I do love 4-strokes, but the one thing I've noticed is my gap of going out of motocross was coming back in 4-strokes were in, and those local motocross tracks just all going. I mean, before the show, I was talking to you, and literally Tesco's is built on one track, and we got another track opposite the unit here, which got closed down. Is, within this just 20 mile square radius, there was over 30 tracks back in like the 80s. There was a local club, Norton and Radstock Club in Corsham, which were quite local. What
the problem with the 4-strokes is, I did a lot of work with Bill's Pipes when I was at Suzuki, and they were explaining to me about the way that sound carries.
Yeah,
and basically that pop 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 sound is what's it called, sonic boom. It's a small sonic boom which carries. And if you ever started a 4-stroke on like a dusty car park, and you'll see these little puffs of smoke and that's sonic boom. It's really weird. And those canisters that they've all built on the front pipes now, that's to take away some of that.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just another thing with the 4-strokes is the noise, is the airbox. When I used to travel to the Grand Prix with Roger Harvey, and the Japanese HRC engineers used to come with us, it's all about the airbox, the amount of sound that comes from there. But I think 4-strokes have done, I hope, not irreparable harm to the sport. It's fucked it up.
Well,
and it's just,
massively.
But I know from my time at Suzuki, they didn't want to build one.
They didn't.
They didn't want to build one. They did it because everybody else was. And at the time, that's where everybody said, unless we got a 4-stroke, we're not going to be competitive. And they didn't want to do it. Honda spent all that money on the CRF, even though Yamaha kind of got accredited with doing it first, which they did in like 97, 98. But Honda in, was it 01? They built that CRF 450 that Rhino rode.
Yeah.
And then Suzuki and Kari came along later. It's just made it really expensive to build. The bikes are too fast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, the best racing you've ever seen in your life was 125 racing.
I heard you on the 2 Pro 1 Slow show talking about the race between Brown in
That's
Rhino,
crazy race.
which is one of your favorite races.
Yeah, that was insane, because you just didn't know who was going to come out of the next turn first, and neither did they. They were just going at it, and to see 2 hardcore racers like that, it was the best race I think I've seen. But when I first saw Strybos and Van der Berg, that was a fucking eye opener. That was proper fast. That made you realise these boys are on it. Most of the best racing you've ever seen is on smaller bikes.
Yeah.
You don't see that kind of racing on 450s anymore, really.
No, you don't. The thing for me is I think we're going through quite an interesting period. I would say it's the same type of period of what's happening with the 2-strokes and the 4-strokes, that sort of era.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a change with electric bikes coming in. So
electric stuff, it's like cars. Who the fuck heard of a Tesla 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And, they've come out the gate now, this Stark Varg, which looks good. And there's stuff coming out of China.
Well, you got Suron, which is just...
Fucks that. It's just Chinese thing. But they're selling in massive numbers.
Yeah.
And with that comes development, and the thing will get better.
Yeah.
The company will have more money. And like you were talking about practice tracks, I don't know if the practice tracks are ever going to come back like they did, purely because somebody owns that land. And if somebody gets paralyzed whilst riding on that land, somebody's going to get sued.
Yeah.
And that was us growing up. You wouldn't even occur to sue somebody.
Oh, it's your own fault.
Even you riding a dirt bike and you fell off and you hurt yourself, and that's. Yeah. But you wouldn't even think of it. But now you sit in an hospital, some fucking ambulance chaser is going to come up and say, "I can get you $3 million for this." You're going to go for it, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so, I think the electric stuff is definitely going to come. It's definitely going to. I think it's going to encompass the youth who are video game generation.
Yeah.
And they're going to see that you can tune it by downloading something, and that'll be your tuning.
Can you imagine that in the future, like you just tapped into something there where it really is going to be, you're going to go online, you'll be able to download a map for Hawkstone.
Yeah, of course you will. Yeah, it'll be perfect. But think of this: what the FIM going to do about power delivery for the 450 class? Well, you knock yourself out because they're too fast as it is.
Yeah.
But for the 250 class, how are they going to police that? Because if they set something on the bike that you can monitor, but they've gotten around the rev limiters.
Yeah.
When now you're dealing with electronic stuff, which can be changed from a distance, you're never going to. I don't know if they're ever going to work in 250F racing unless everybody's on one. And I don't know how you're going to police it. I really don't know about the power delivery or whatever, because you can't police the power delivery on a 250F class because you're limited by the CCs. But it's not a maximum of so much horsepower. And that's how you're going to have to limit the 250F or the smaller class. Or is it going to be battery power that's going to be? I don't understand it enough. But watching Kenny on that Stark Varg thing, he looked good on it.
Yeah.
And all it's going to take is one guy to show up of that level on one, and the tide's going to turn. And it's like with cars, like I say, with Tesla, the technology seems to come from left field. You would think with cars it would be Audi, Ford, Vauxhall, but it's not. It's strange. It's Polestar, which I know is Volvo, but it comes from left field. The same with motocross seems to come. You think Honda would, I know they've got one, but never seen the thing.
One of the, I've just come back from EICMA, and I was at EICMA, I think it was at 18, when there was just this little corner stand, which was, they usually have like a contingency, from China set up. So like they have the Taiwanese in China and they invite over all these small businesses. Yeah. And that's where I first seen Suron.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was about 18. And I looked at it and I was just like, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
and it was just this bike on its own. It was hard to try and get anybody on the stand to talk English. Yeah. But I was like, how can I get hold of one? And they're exactly. We're kind of just building it at the moment. This is a prototype.
But you have to. I don't know the numbers, but I mean, how many of them are sold compared with how many CRF 450s are sold? It's going to be ridiculous numbers.
But the interesting thing is, they're not just selling to the public; they're selling to military.
Okay.
So we're talking numbers, which the military's probably buying 100,000 bikes.
I've never heard anybody slate it for quality wise. They look all right. I know Derek Edwardson's been doing a bit with it. He's been on to me for some different breaks and whatever, because I think they're pushing the envelope with it.
Yeah.
But you see these indoor tracks, and they do look a bit of fun on those little Surons or those electric things. And you see some other brands coming out, Cake or whatever.
Yeah.
I think whether we like it or not, and I like the sound of two-stroke makes, but I don't like the sound of four-stroke makes.
No.
And you have to move with the times. You can't.
I mean, can you imagine in the future kind of riding your bike and listening to music?
Well, yeah. I mean, people say about the stadiums, oh, it's going to be shit. Well, better than a four-stroke, I think. Yeah. And it's just put the music on, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you should have an orchestra doing like they used to in the old silent movies.
Yeah, who knows? Isn't it a fad now with these silent discos where
everybody's got headphones on?
Yeah, put your headphones on. So who knows how it's going to go? But
I think it's it's definitely coming.
Yeah,
I think we need to embrace it. I think the aftermarket people are going to be struggling because you're still going to buy plastics, you're still going to buy tires, chain sprockets, graphics. Exhaust pipes, motor stuff is going to go away. But, there's
got to be battery companies like UASA and BT. They've got to be exploring this technology now because that's going to be the future, isn't it?
That's what
the most efficient
all these
battery.
Big companies are throwing massive money at it. Like I've got a friend of mine who's in the military in the States, and he tells me they've got tank batteries that charge instantly. Like you plug them in, it's charged up. I don't know how much they are, how long they last. I don't know, but that's what he tells me. It's just the technology's there.
Yeah.
It's just affordability.
Just yeah.
And you've only got, I know some guys at F1 and the batteries, they could have just a battery car.
Wow.
And
so it's there. It's just not efficient. It's not efficient for your everyday Joe.
It's going to take a bit of time. It's like, when a microwave first came out or a DVD player, it's fortunes.
Yeah.
Now they're 30 quid.
Yeah.
And I still don't know how they work. But, it's coming. And I think we need to embrace it. And I think we need to, I think that'll get a new generation half interested and get them off the video games, get them out and about.
Absolutely. I can't see, and apart from the sound, we all love 2-stroke sound, none of us love 4-stroke sound, but apart from that, I can't see the negatives.
No, you can have a track in your back garden and not offend anybody.
And your dad can maintain the bike.
Exactly.
What have you got to do? Change your grips, change your tires?
I think it's a win-win. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be great. I just want to see some of the big manufacturers come out of the gate and put somebody decent on one just to see how much damage they can do, because they must have a battery that can last 20 laps.
Why do you think they've been so hesitant, and why are the Chinese at the moment at the forefront? And
I feel that they're more prepared to take a gamble and fail, whereas a Honda can't come out with something that's not fucking perfect, not the best thing. They have to hold back. I did see there's a new Yamaha, but that's not built by Yamaha, is it?
I heard it's a Dutch company.
Yeah, it's not built by Yamaha. It's a Yamaha chassis.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm not an advocate of electric cars personally. I understand they're efficient and whatever else, but then again, it's like comparing a microwave oven, all right? A microwave oven's efficient, it's cheap, it works, it heats up your food quick. You don't want a microwave burger, do you?
No.
You want a burger on a grill.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Yeah.
And is not environmentally friendly, but it tastes good. So there's your flavour. You got no flavour in an electric car.
Yeah, exactly.
I just bought a little Toyota Yaris GR just to blat around in because it's got a bit of flavour to it. It's a little fun thing, I'm a bit of a car buff. I mean, I must admit, I do like my cars.
Do you know what? That's funny because I for the first time ever, I think it's probably, I was doing quite well in business when I had the digital agency, and I got myself a nice Mercedes C-Class, really, really cool and everything else. And then it was the same year I bought the Navara truck.
Oh, fucking hell.
And my Navara truck's like 11 years old now, but it's 190 brake horsepower. And I love it. And what happened was the Mercedes just stayed on the drive.
Yeah.
And I just drove the truck everywhere because I just loved the grunt and everything else. So it's like, I'm never going to get away from that. I'll probably will eventually get an electric car because it'll be cheaper eventually once they've ironed it all out.
Yeah.
However, I still want to have, my dream's always to have like an old American Chevy truck.
Yeah.
So I just think I'm not going to be able to afford one because of the price of them now.
I don't need range anxiety. I've got enough stress in life. I don't need any more. I need to worry if I'm going to make it somewhere.
But it's for me, I look at electric. Obviously, you're a great person to speak to, given what you do, like with DocWob, with the business you've built. You're the go-to guy pretty much around the world for any sort of parts which people are looking for, any information or tech. I mean, what you don't know about is not worth knowing. So it's really good to hear your thought process on electric, because everybody, I guess, who wouldn't have listened to this would have thought you'd be anti-electric.
No, I like the noise a 2-stroke makes. The sound of a good setup 2-stroke going up Hawkston Hill. Can't beat that.
No.
But there's more to it than that. And you've got to look at the good of the sport and getting new kids into it. Like, a lot of these kids don't want to go out and get dirty. They just want to be video game guys. And this is maybe a stepping stone. And if it gets people out there riding and the gear companies selling stuff and the helmet people selling stuff and the tire people doing well, it's good for all of us.
Yeah. And the way I can see it is that I think we'll double the amount of people in motocross. And they might not be at your local club race. They might not be at your Fat Cat, but what they might be on is a stubble field.
Yeah, I think what you'll find is the tracks will get smaller. The bikes are smaller. The Sur one's a lot smaller than a CRF 450.
Yeah.
Still the same amount of fun.
Yeah.
And it's like we mentioned earlier about, the best racing you've ever seen. It's not 125. It's nothing to do with the power. It's just how you can ride that bike.
Yeah.
And, I think the 450s are too powerful. I think they're not doing anybody any favours.
Because that's the one thing what's killing the MXGP at the moment. I'm going to be blatantly honest now, is that I don't get paid to go to MXGP. We do content marketing, mxvice is built out of us going to races and reporting on it. So it's not like I might get my press pass taken away, but I'll just buy a ticket. So so at the end of the day, my opinion is like mxgp with 450s, when you're watching a race in it, it's took the fun away. We had that amazing 2021 was an amazing year when we had everybody close to winning, the championship. That was great racing. But apart from that, a lot of the tracks now just lend itself to this procession of riders not being able to pass because everybody's, in the air at the same time. They're able.
Well, that's like a rhythm section. I never understood a rhythm section. To get it right, you've got to go the same speed as everybody else.
If you go faster, you're going to get punished.
You're going to over jump stuff. You don't go fast enough. So you have to go the same speed. Well, where's that making for good racing?
Yeah.
And it's like the tracks, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and badmouth GPs because the 450 class in the States is quite exciting.
Yeah.
So it ain't the bike, evidently.
No.
And when you get to a lesser class, that sounds awful, but like AMCA Championship, what's there, 6 or 7 guys on the line?
Yeah.
Fuck's that about?
Yeah.
I mean, when I was doing AMCA, it was real prestigious to qualify for that championship, let alone race it.
Well, those guys have gone through a bit of a weird transition because going back, I think it was kind of pre-COVID, they did have 40 on the line.
Yeah.
And it just seems over the last couple of years, people have kind of shied away from the AMCA when it was only a couple, like 3-4 years ago, I was championing it saying, doing a really good job there because they did have full lineups. And
thing is with the motocross industry, you've only got to go to a practice track. It's fucking rammed. And the races are not. And you try to explain to people, listen, you need to go race. Because what you get out of sitting on a start gate with your bollocks tingling, thinking, I've got to go to that first turn. And I know as soon as the gate drops, it's gone. The nerves are gone. You're not nervous anymore.
You're just focused on
getting on with the best you can and getting irritated with the guy in front of you. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But all the practicing in the world don't replace that. And I know it's value for money. And I know you're on your bike. But I think that the AMCA, for example, the summit needs changing. I don't know what. I'm not that guy, but it used to be pretty prestigious.
Yeah.
To win an AMCA championship was big news.
It was huge. Yeah.
But that goes on to, how many British champions? I mean, like I say, my Facebook lights up for like three or 4 weeks. I'm British champion. I'm really fucking. I don't even know who you are, let alone. And that's no offense. It's just.
Have you won a British championship?
What championship are you?
Which British championship?
Yeah, which British championship? There's so many. It gets so diluted.
Yeah. It kind of like, going back to the MXGP, my point is that they are an events and promotion company. So ideally, they're trying to make their event as exciting as possible to encourage more people to watch.
Yeah.
So
I think you can't just blame MXGP because obviously the guys are going to want to race. And I'd sound like Ralph Venables all back in my day. But, when I was doing the British Championships with Rob Andrews, Mervyn Anstey, Mark Banks, all those.
Yeah.
There was a grading list. And they would, obviously, you got Kurt and Thorpe, who were automatically on the grading list. But then you'd have like 8, I think the number was, of guys. And it was Andy Nichols, Rob Andrews, Mark Banks, Brian Wheeler, all
Kevin
these.
Froud, all those people.
These. And then you'd have a couple of guys, Stuart Coyle and whatever, getting Irish licenses to get in.
Yeah.
So there was always like 10 or 12 British guys at the Grand Prix. And half of them being in the top 10. So you had something to cheer for.
Yeah.
Thorpe out there doing what Thorpe did. And fucking
Rob Herons, Jeremy Watley's.
Oh my God, it was a different time.
Yeah.
Where's that gone? When, our current British champions, Tommy, bless him, is on the downside of his career. He's under no illusions. I love Tommy.
Still winning British championships.
I love Tommy like a brother, but he's on the downside of his career and he's doing really well with the internet stuff. And he's still made himself viable or relevant, if that's the word.
Super relevant at the moment.
But you got Conrad, who's the fastest kid we got in the country. Is that arguable?
Yep.
Would you say Conrad's the quickest kid we got?
Absolutely, yeah.
Why is he not doing good at Grand Prix? I know he's fast enough.
Yeah.
Speed ain't an issue. Is he not got the support? Well, he has got the support.
But the same thing can be said for Ben Watson.
He's had quite a few opportunities. Ben's another kid. But, Ben had a lovely opportunity, a massive opportunity with Kawasaki this year. But, Ben didn't rise to the occasion for whatever reason. I mean, I've known Ben. I used to be his dad's mechanic.
Yeah.
I've known him forever. And I love the kid. He's a lovely, lovely kid. And he just didn't... don't know. I think he'd perform better on Roger McGee's Hitachi KTM team than he would on the full factory Kawasaki team. And a few guys have gone that way. Sean Simpson, and a few others, you know.
Just kind of need that to back away from the spotlight and do their own thing.
It's that, and I think the expectation's not there. I think if they go out there and bust a top 5 on Roger McGee's team, everybody's over the moon with you. You go out and bust a top 5 on a factory Kawasaki team, they're all questioning what went wrong.
Yeah, you're not winning.
And I had that conversation with Ryan Villapoto at Foxhill, and I told him, I said, mate, I genuinely thought when you were done, we'd never see you again. He said, that's how I felt. Because I dealt with Ryan from 85s all the way through first couple of months at Pro Circuit.
And he had that much pressure that he just wanted to get out.
I just watched the life get sucked out of him.
Really?
And it started at PC, not so much because he was still a fun, happy kid. And then he went to factory Kawasaki. And I'd known him at that point like 10 years. And I'd talk to him. You could just tell he just didn't want to be there. He didn't want... And he said, Dad, the problem with Kawasaki was they'd go out and get second and they'd have to have a meeting about what went wrong. He said, fuck all went wrong. We got beat by James Stewart, man. Fucking hell, we should be happy with that. But they'd have a meeting discussing what didn't go right. You're like, fucking hell. It was just pressure on pressure. And they were paying for that, and that's what they get for their money, I suppose. But I genuinely didn't think we'd see Ryan again. And for Ryan now to be into the vintage stuff like he is and actually enjoying it. Oh, it's a pleasure because he's a lovely, funny, friendly kid. He really is. You're not a kid. He's got fucking kids and everything of his own now. But it's nice to see.
But you've known him for a long time. But you've seen every side of him. You've seen him growing up. You've seen the factory side of him.
Yeah, I mean, me and Denny Stevenson used to go over to his family's, have barbecues, drink with his dad. And, you know, good as gold, lovely. And when you see that drama was unfolding with the family and all the money situation, and it was just such a shame to see.
Heartbreaking.
It was really, because I knew how cool they were, you know, and it was just, you know, the same with, you know, Weimer. He was a super cool kid, but he didn't fall out with the family. Exact opposite with him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that story about Jake.
No.
His dad literally sold up to keep him racing. His dad was a potato farmer and literally sold the farm.
Just to get him racing.
Keep funding. Still lived there, but rented it off the new owner. And with his first bonus check for winning the East Coast, I think he bought it back.
Really?
Yeah, he's a lovely kid, Jake.
Holy shit, that's the coolest story I think I've been told.
A lot of people don't know that about Jake, but he didn't sing and dance about it. But he used the paycheck and went to the owner and bought it back off, give it back to his dad.
That's amazing.
How crazy is that?
That is really, really cool.
So
yeah, I love those little nuggets.
So we're talking to him about coming to Foxhill, so we'll try and get him.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, Jake's a lovely kid.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool.
We've got some really, really big stuff in the pipeline for that race. But if you say about it, it doesn't happen, makes you look like you're bullshitting. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Farley's literally 20 minutes down the road from here. You know, it's iconic track. I went there in the 80s, and then to see obviously your bikes there over the past, you know, sort of 10 odd years, was awesome. And obviously, you know, it's new now. You've obviously put a lot into Foxhill, and I don't want to talk too much about Foxhill because I know we need Dave here because bounce off of both of you. But
the last thing you want is like me taking all the glory for Foxhill and people thinking Dave's not involved.
No. But it's like obviously Dave's got his point of view, you got your point of view and stuff like that, and it'd be great. And I'd love to get you both back in and talk about, because I want to talk about like the VMXDN was obviously a massive success to everybody who went there from the outside, everything, but no one gets to understand the inside. And, you know, I spoke to you a little bit about the MX Nationals, and when I started the MX Nationals with Paul and Neil Irwin in 2000, I think it was 13, you know, I was the guy taking the money on the gate. I was the guy putting up banners at the track. 58 days I spent just at, I think we're 6 rounds.
But the
work was incredible.
Oh my God. The amount on the run up, not the run up to it. I mean, the amount of time I spend on the phone and fucking chasing people around and just the questions you have, you're just like, oh, I want to come up Thursday. And then my mum's coming down on, you're like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I can't.
Yeah.
And you just fucking show up. It'll be all right, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like I said with Tommy, you know, like if you paint a room and you get a bit of paint on the skirting board, that's all you can see. Other people walk in, it's nice in here. But all you can see is that little, and that's all I can see is, as a bike builder, I was stressing because these boys are trying to break the bikes, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, them toilets need cleaning, and there's not enough bins.
Such and such can't park where he wants to.
And that's all I saw. And I regret it now, but I wanted it to be over.
Yeah.
I was counting. I was like, I'll be over tomorrow.
Yeah.
Last day tomorrow. And I didn't want to be that guy, but that's how it felt.
Yeah. So it's kind of, but I'm guessing you and Dave have learned from that this year.
Oh my God. I'm hoping this second year is going to be easier than the first.
And you can kind of like say, well, actually, if we had somebody who could just handle that part.
Yeah.
Because it is that holy grail, isn't it? Of getting to that point where it's an efficient.
Well, the thing is, me and Dave, we come up with the idea. You know, he has his issues with the Farley people, nothing to do with me. But come to me, we're like, let's do something then. And we were selling an idea. We couldn't use any content from Farley, and we had nothing. It was just an idea. We're just going to, it was a piece of paper. That's all we had. And we were having Ryan and Brownie and Zach doing these videos. We're going to ride. And obviously Tommy helped us out a lot. But now we've got all the content in the world.
Yeah.
And we've got all the pictures, all the aerial shots. We've got all. So getting sponsors is actually going to be a lot easier because you're not having to explain to people what you're doing.
No, they already know
what's up.
Yeah.
Every sponsor we've spoken to so far wants back on board. We've got more people coming in. It's just managing them so they're all happy with what they get. And it's all right. But like I say, it's we're hoping for it to be half again as big.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me a little bit is we had such a good feeling, atmosphere, vibe, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we got that. So how do you
recreate it?
Fuck knows. It's just, you just hope we get the weather, we get okay weather.
Yeah.
And with the people coming in and they were all keen to do the bikes. And I think, we weren't struggling for riders anyway, but we're getting a few more now. And we're getting some really big names in Europe of seeing what we're doing. They want to come along and have a look.
Absolutely.
And past riders, whether they want to race or not, just want to come and say hello. And, we're lucky that there's no Grand Prix that weekend.
Yep.
And I've looked at the schedules and there's nothing else on that weekend.
So it's literally,
if you were MX Nationals, if you were MX, you wouldn't, would you want to go against?
No.
You'd be like, well, leave that weekend alone.
No.
Because you don't want to compete with them for spectators. So I think there's not much else on that weekend.
See, I came away on a Sunday because I went to go and talk to Zach.
Yeah.
Because I kind of knew what was going on in mxvice and I wanted to have a chat with Zach about coming in and doing the podcast show with me.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go to the event, but I had COVID all year. And I spoke to Dave at the start, I think it was Matley, and I said, look, we'll come in as your media partners and everything else. I didn't get better until literally, I think it was the first week of August. So I was out of the business for nearly 4 months.
Never.
So I came to chat to Zach, but also as a fan.
Mm.
And my take from it was a celebration of motocross.
Yeah. Because
for me, it was a chance to see those riders on bikes. It was a chance, and little things what were interesting to me is seeing Mel Pocock and Elliot Banks-Brown back racing and enjoying themselves.
Yeah, so many people have said it rejuvenated.
Yeah,
they got not phased by it all. They just got a little bit burnt out, and then so many people are so back into it because of that one event.
Yeah,
and I couldn't believe for the first race that we did, the amount of people who made the effort by making special bikes, having the haircut, wearing the clothes. You're like, absolutely fucking ridiculous. All that effort. Well, now it's going to multiply.
Oh, it's going to be even bigger.
So that show and shine Thursday was so big, and anybody who was there was going to be like, I'm going to build one of these.
Yeah.
And they were already building. I was getting phone calls the week after. I'm buying this, I'm buying that. I'm like, Jesus, could you not just take it easy? But they're fired right up,
But this, MXGP is what it is at the moment. Supercross seems to be doing well. WSX has made a very good entry into. I went to Cardiff and that was awesome. MXGP, I think if they had a bit more pizzazz and a bit more fun at the event, maybe doing something in the pit. There's lots of ways that they could improve that. But they're all series. So everybody, I expect one question that people have said to you is, why do you not make this into 8 rounds?
I think that would dilute it so much.
Exactly. Like your event works perfectly because everybody is building up to that one event that year. Because that's, in a way, it's like you work hard, don't you? You work hard on your bike. You work hard to produce something to then show it.
Exactly.
And that's what works.
The amount of, like I say, you've got, I use Chuck Davis example, full pro circuit bike, got all the gear, got the helmet painted. And that's not cheap to do. and
No.
Harry Bradley looks like Carmichael. And Scott Probert looks full on like Rick Johnson. These guys have made so much effort. Yeah. And it's good to see like the young generation, your Grimshaws and your Sam Nunns and your Luke Garlands and all these guys properly hanging it out on bikes older than them.
Yeah.
And it's just nice as well. Maybe not Luke Garland. That thing was a bit newer than that, I think. But fuck it, it's a bit of fun. Who cares?
Yeah. No, it's like, you can see I've got my Ricky Johnson Profile of a Champion VHS video there.
Fucking hell, I watched that. So it was...
Absolutely. I don't even know.
And that's why I try to explain some of the Americans I see, some of the older guys like RJ and stuff. And, there was no media back then. In the 80s, we had no media.
They were like a myth.
They were gods amongst men.
Yeah.
Absolute gods. And when I first saw them all was Bursey 87 when I was there with Mark Banks. And because I was Honda with him, we got put with the Hondas.
Yeah.
And there's RJ just over the other side of this little barrier just next to us talking to his mechanic. And I'm just... I'm full on fanboy.
God.
Full on fanboy. I've gone. I'm just fucking jittery. And I'm like, and then Jeff Ward's there, Ron Lacheyne's there, Mickey Diamond. He's just like, gone. Absolutely. Can you imagine? Oh my fucking God. Gone. Well, now the internet, I think, is great as it is. I think it's fucked up a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think, you follow Ken Roxon and you think you're his pal.
Because you know everything.
You know everything.
You can watch videos of his family,
see what he's having for breakfast and everything. And these guys are all so media savvy now. It's important to be that way. And you just think they'll answer messages. I mean, what chance did you have getting on a message to Rick Johnson? I mean, you fucking wouldn't even know how to get hold of him. Or it turns out he's the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
But to us, he was just this mythical legend.
Well,
I don't know whether these guys are that big time anymore. Are they? I don't know.
I think. You've actually just, hit the nail on the head with your analogy of social media's opened it up, because you didn't know about Rick Johnson. Like, the only thing I found out about Rick Johnson was he liked surfing from Profile of a Champion.
Yeah. That
he was on a Japanese TV show. He was that mainstream that in Japan he went on to a TV show. And, I found that out in 90 minutes of watching Profile of a Champion. There was no other access.
No. And you used to get like old motocross actions, and then the shop you got that from wouldn't get it in again for 6 months.
Yeah.
And, bit in Troz motocross, bit in motorcycle news. But, these guys were gods. And when you speak to like Johnny Amaro or Ron Lacheyne, who I know pretty well now, which is strangely enough. Really
amazing.
Yeah, you just still have to pinch yourself sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, I've managed. I have no problem with talking, as you probably can tell. And the one person which I still can't talk to is Ricky Johnson. We got one of the MXGP awards there for Majora for the website, and we were up at the same time as Ricky Johnson was being. So we're in the skybox. Yeah. They're bringing out Ricky Johnson and the American team, which is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And David Luongo's like, right, James, you're on next. Da, 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 da. Oh, James, have you met Ricky? Because Ricky's there. And first, my hand won't work. So like, I don't know what happened to my hand, but it just wouldn't work. So I'm just there trying to shake his hand. And he said, hey James, I'm Ricky. And I went, harder, Burnett. And it just wouldn't come out. And I've never had that problem before, but it was just like, you're right. Yeah. He was a god to me.
He was. And when I met him in Bursey, I had a problem with the throttle sticking, and Brian Lunis, his mechanic, came over and helped me. And we had the new 88 bikes, same bike. It's quite different, but it wasn't that different. And he said, oh, you need to route the cable this way and that way. And then Lunis was good as gold for me. It really, couldn't believe this guy was helping me. I got talking to Ricky, and some Fox guy came over, delivered him some gear. And I was thinking, fuck, I'd love a set of that.
Oh my God.
I would love a set of that.
Yeah.
But how'd you ask for it? I don't even want to be that guy. So I said to him, oh, that's nice. He said, oh, it's some signature line stuff. He said, it's not got my name on nothing, but I'm just going to wear it for this weekend. I'm like, that's fucking cool. He's like, do you want a set? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I can't give it you now in case I have an off and rip a set or something, but on Sunday lunchtime, because it was like Friday night, Saturday, Sunday lunchtime, he said, after Sunday, I'll give you a set, no problem. And I was like, he's never going to remember in a million years. He's never going to remember me. And then I don't know what happens, whether they just opened the pits up or it was fucking rammed. We're trying to take everything down, and the people in there was just, well, of course, they're 10 deep at the Americans, and we're trying to work. Nobody cares about us.
No.
But they're 10 deep at the Americans, pushing past all our stuff. And the next thing is he stood on a bike stand over the top of everybody with this ball with a jersey and a pants in. And he's like pointing at me, shouting to try and get it to me without all these hands grabbing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking hell. So I'm kind of reaching up. I got the gear. And I said, what do I hear for it? Because like an idiot, I'm trying to buy it off him.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck.
Exactly.
I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
And he said to me, don't worry about it. Get me something from your country.
Oh, that's cool.
And this was in 88. And then I went to the States in 93. And I thought, I'm probably going to bump into him. And I live in Worcester. So I went to Worcester Porcelain. And I bought this fucking jug thing, hand-painted. Spent £300 or something. It wasn't cheap. And put it in my gear bag. How it got around the States not getting broken, I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And he showed up in Vegas with his monster truck at the time. And I got it in my bag, and I'm like, I'm going to have to go and fucking give it to him. It feels a bit embarrassing now.
Yeah.
And I went over, and I said, Ricky, I don't know if you remember. And he says he remembers me.
Yeah, I love that when
riders
are super polite.
He's nice. He's a nice enough guy to say he remembered me.
Yeah.
And I gave it to him, and he was so stoked. He called his wife over, Stephanie. He's lovely. He gets on well with my wife. And he explained the story. He said only once before some guy from Holland gave him some clogs. And I was the only second. He said, I've said that to everybody for 10 years. He said,
really?
You're the second person who's ever. And it was 5 years on.
Holy shit.
And he was stoked that I remembered. And I spoke to Stephanie about that when they come to Farley. She said, oh, no, he was stoked with that. He was stoked. That's still in our house, that was. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But it's nice.
That's
little
very,
stories
very
like
cool.
that. But I just thought, if I bump into him and I haven't got something, I'm going to feel like an absolute piece of shit.
Yeah.
So, but that stuff's in the office now.
No, I respect that. I mean, a lot of people are going to respect that. My kind of thing, because I've always been a fan.
Yeah.
Like
we all are.
I'm not I didn't go and study media at college or anything else. I was a web designer and loved motocross. But in, I think it was 88, maybe 87, 88. I was at Farley, about 12, 13, something like that, I think. And I might be younger. But basically, my mum said, I was a big Rob Andrews fan. And he had the M. Robert Team Green shirt on. And, at that time, Kawasaki was just everywhere. For a young kid, you rode a Kawasaki 60, 80, 100. You grew up on Kawasaki. It was phenomenal. And the way that every rider had the same kit and everything else, it was just so freaking amazing. And that's what, I'm Team Green. I love Kawasaki. So heavily influenced. Used to love watching Rob Andrews because, you had 4P and everything else who were like amazing and everything else. But then I was always the guy who rooted for the underdogs. Yeah. So with Rob Andrews, it kind of felt like he was a bit of an underdog, and he'd always kind of get the TMX and look for his results every week from a GP. So I went over to him in Farley. My mum's like pushing me because I didn't have the courage. So I kind of knocked on his motorhome. He sort of opened the door and I said, hi, I'm a big fan. Could I have a shirt? Is it possible? No worries if not. And he was like, do you know what? I haven't got any here. And I was like, oh, that's okay. It's not a problem. He said, but give me your address and I'll send one to you. And I was like, oh, my mum sort of wrote down the address. I gave him the piece of paper. And as you do,
that's the end of it. You're never going to see
it. Just like, he's probably been inundated, but literally like 2 weeks later, he sent me the M. Robert Team Green with Andrews sublimated on the back, which for me was just like...
meant so much. I had the same with Joe Martins.
Okay.
On a Husky. He gave me a jersey. It was just a fucking cotton Sinisalo thing. I loved it.
Oh, awesome.
I just loved it. But, that year that you were with Rob, I could have well been his mechanic that year.
You might have been, yeah.
88, I was his mechanic.
I think that was that was the actual year. I'm pretty sure it was an 88 Kawasaki.
Yeah. I was with Rob from probably about a third of the way through the season because he was Team Green. Lawrence was his mechanic. Didn't get particularly good results. So they kind of clipped him. Yeah. And then he was on his own. They gave him the bikes and that was it. So he got me. And I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was fucking first year in it. You know what I mean? Second year, I didn't have a clue.
Really? So it was like literally that was fresh to you?
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, first opportunity was Mervyn, Max's dad, doing French internationals with him. But he was hard on people. And so he was always looking for new people because they wouldn't last. But the desire overtook the desire to tell them to fuck off.
The shitness.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's like you want to be involved and you want to be that guy. And, you know, hanging out with Mick Aldous and Ian Brown and all those guys was just like fucking heaven for me. It was the best thing.
Yeah. I got to speak to, I've done a podcast with Rob, I think it was 2 years ago when he brought his book out.
Yes.
And I think it was probably 2 years previous to that. I bumped into him and I said the whole story about I've got your shirt. And he was like, I'd love to see that one day.
Nice.
So I gave it back to him.
Did you?
Yeah. So I thought it's kind of nice because it meant a lot to me when I was younger.
It meant a lot to him to have it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he gave away everything.
He did.
So he didn't have anything. So for him to have that shirt back meant a lot. So
yeah, no, it did. Rob's such a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, being from Worcester, and I was from Worcester, and it's just, he was the local fucking hero. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And can you remember Apex back in the day before the motorway was there? I used to go to the National Motocross Academy with Roger Harvey and the late Tim Matthews.
Yeah, yeah.
And Kevin Froud and Roger would turn up and do some training.
Colin Thomas.
Who was the other one?
Colin Thomas.
Colin Thomas, yeah, Colin Thomas.
Yeah, they will be there.
So I think some of the guys I used to go every year, and I think one of the guys I remember was Zach Bernal.
Okay.
So, but Zach used to like basically was like, oh, I'll be your friend if you would just stay at the back with me and run because I'm not the fastest. And Roger Harvey and Tim Matthews give me so much shit. So I used to run at the back with Zach, so they would give him so much shit.
Fair play. I had that conversation with Nick Moores about watching Keith working, Keith Thorpe.
Yeah.
And we were saying, I wonder how many of us who we all know each other now will be just those kids staring in.
Yeah.
Trying to catch a glimpse. And if you could freeze frame them times at like Hawkston or Farley or whatever, or Canada Heights, whatever it would be, I think it would be all the players.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
I think if you were like, well, there's Nick Moores, there's, you know what I mean? You'd be picking out all Archie Church, all the guys back in the day would be, all of us stood there staring in, wanted to be that guy.
Yeah. But it's funny, isn't it? Because, like, you know, here I am now. Like, I don't even know. I think I put on Twitter the other day that I've probably invested 700,000 over the last 11 years into mxvice because I love it. Like, and it's called mxvice for a reason because motocross is addictive.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is a vice because I know, like my cousin, for instance, he was on his second mortgage, didn't pay his gas bill because it, you know, needed to get the engine tuned to get little Mikey three places faster or whatever. And it's like common sense goes out the window.
It does. And like when things are tough in motocross, you think, fuck, we're going to be in trouble here because people need to pay the gas bill. But people can always find the money for what they want. Not for what they need, maybe.
What they need, yeah.
And you think, you don't need titanium bolts for your bike, kid. But, you know, we set that business up just to supply race teams. And anything that we retail is just a bit of gravy, really.
Yeah. And so, obviously, you know, we could talk for hours and hours and hours. And, you know, I really want to get you back in. But one of the things I was going to talk to you about was obviously something which I'm selfishly interested in because, like, obviously being the goggle guy, being the mechanic, you know, and then you kind of land this job, like, you know, I've heard the story with Tim March calling you.
Oh, yeah.
And basically you're like, we're going to be doing moto. We want you as editor. Can you just tell me about that?
Fucking everything. Larry Brooks always laughs. He's like, fuck, are we doing now? And me and Larry kind of cross paths every couple of years. Basically, I growing up, I wanted to be a rider. Of course you do. First thing, you want to be a rider. Then I realized I ain't good enough for that. Yeah. And then, you know, I had the opportunity to go with Merv and then Rob Andrews, and that's it. You're a mechanic now, you know. And then, of course, the target is America.
Absolutely.
You want to be that guy. You want to go over there. So in 93, I went over there with a toolbox, worked for a kid called Gene Newmack, like a little privateer in Florida, got to know the factory Suzuki guys through Swink and got to hang out with some of the, you know, the factory guys. But at that point, to get into there just wasn't all the support teams. So there was like 12 factory jobs and those guys weren't leaving, you know, and it's just next to impossible to get in, no matter how good a job you did. So I went back with Paul Eddy because I knew some people. Then from there went on to be factory Suzuki. Then I had a work visa issue with, it was a beef between LaRocco's dad and Ian Harrison, who was Alby's mechanic, that I got caught up in. And at the same time, Albie got married, went to South Africa, didn't do his green card. And so basically everybody at Suzuki who was on a work visa got clipped.
Wow.
And there was like 45 people got let go that day. No green card, no fucking job. And I could have sued him because it was in my contract that I had a job.
Yeah.
But he's like, what's that going to get you? He's never going to get you a job ever in the world, if you do that.
No.
So I went back with Paul Eddy, Kawasaki Team Green, so I knew all those guys. And then I got approached by Smith to be the goggle guy. And it was between me and a guy called Kenny Watson, who was he was like Kenny.
Yeah.
And he came over to Sheffield Supercross, and I'd been offered the job and I hadn't said nothing. And I was there helping out Mike Jones, and Kenny Watson was, I'm doing the Smith God job. And I'm like, fuck, they didn't tell me, I didn't get it. So I rung up Smith. He goes, we haven't made a decision yet. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought.
Yeah, I've just been told that.
I had the arse, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But getting the goggle thing, I was like, fucking hell, this is going to be easy. And it was not. It was massively underestimated how much work it was. But you go from looking after one guy for everything to like 30 guys with a very personal little part of their program.
Yeah.
And they're all different. And it was great. And so I got to know a lot of people and had a lot of fun. Good thing about working with Smith is hanging out with Denny Stevenson. Fuck, I had so much fun with Denny.
Was Denny cool?
Oh my God, I love him like a brother. But because
I love him on Twitter. I think Denny on Twitter is hilarious.
The fucking funniest, coolest, nicest. I have not got a bad word to say about Denny. But because I'm with Denny, now all of a sudden you're in like the cool gang.
Ah, okay.
Whereas before I knew Swink and I used to hang out. I mean, my two favorite Americans are Brian Swink and Scott Sheik.
Okay.
Fucking, I must get attracted to fucking people who go off the rails. And them boys are more fun than you can shake a stick at. But then Denny came along and, then he's with Fro, and now there's Jeremy and the Davey Castillo and all the fucking party boys, Buddy Antonez. And we're going out twice. We're going on Friday night, Saturday night. We're going out big. We've had so much fun. I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
That's a
lot of fun.
An XX show.
But the motocross, the Motor Magazine thing came because I started doing some stuff with DBR.
Okay.
In like 99, editor for that, who's a road race guy, came on, and that's where the DocWob name come from. He said, we'll stick it with a doctor's coat. We wanted to do like a how to bleed your brakes, how to stick stickers on, how to.
That's cool.
And you do like 12 of those, you run out of ideas. So we did those. A lot of people,
even worse with electric bikes.
And a lot of people, yeah. And a lot of people know me for that stuff. And then I'm in the back of Vegas. We're working. I'm getting ready for the main event, MGM. You're in the back of the MGM stadium. And like Tim March is stood there. And I'm thinking, I fucking know that guy. Why do I know him? And I'm busy. I'm working away. And he says hello. And I'm like, oh, he's English. So I'm half the battle now. I'm kind of putting two. I'm like,
narrowing it down.
It, mate. You're the BMX bloke. So I'm narrowing it down. You know what I mean? So he come in. We need to talk to you. I'm like, about what? I said, I'm fucking busy. I might have an opportunity for you. I said, I've got a job, kid.
Yeah.
I am flat out with this. And he's like, well, when do you finish? It's the last race of the year for me. And I'm like, I'm going home Tuesday. I can't fucking wait. He said, well, come and see us. I'm like, I want to go home. And at the time, I was using the dollars I was getting paid in Smith. I'd buy bikes from the teams. That's how the import thing started.
Ah, okay.
So the week after the last race, I'd go around California hoovering up these bikes in a rental van, shove them all in a container, ship them to myself, and I'd sell them in the 3 months off when I was at home.
Amazing.
So that worked out.
So that's really entrepreneurial. You came in.
Yeah. That's me just seeing an opportunity, thinking, fucking now I can buy these and we can send them home.
Yeah.
But then I went down to 4130 down.
Do you still do that now, by the way?
A little bit of that. Not the bike stuff's kind of, the exchange rates took it out, and we've took the capital that I had in buying and selling bikes, and we've invested it in parts.
Okay.
We make a lot of stuff now. We make a lot of stuff for a lot of teams.
Okay.
We make a lot of stuff for the vintage bikes, and if we're building a bike and you can't get a certain part, we make it.
That's cool.
But we have to make 100 of them, so it's quite a big investment, and it's quite a big. And for years, I built trick bikes, was using a few factory bits here and there, and they're gone. You sell them once, they're gone.
Yeah.
So now we copy them.
Ah, that's cool.
So
now you can start to. So this is again, we need to get you in for another podcast show, because I could spend hours talking to you about the entrepreneurial version of DocWob, because it's these little stepping stones, and I guess you kind of, same thing with electric or whatever. You've got your finger on the pulse. You're kind of looking for opportunities. Sometimes those opportunities you probably aren't looking for, but they sort of. You're there at the right place. You're
there at the right place, right time, and you've got to almost create these opportunities. Like I'd be over buying stuff from Star or Troy Lee, and then got Mitch from Pro Circuit. Well, you can buy some of my old shit. All right. And then you walk in, it's like, fucking hell.
I can't leave this here.
I haven't got $1 million. You know what I mean? So I'll just have this and that. And I did that. I went into his place and cleaned him out for 10 years.
Wow.
You know, so there's nothing left there. We've had it all.
You've had the whole lot.
You've had everything that's any good. And I have been rummaging around that place. That is.
I went in there for a meeting once with Jim. And yeah. And literally I was sat up there and the meeting, obviously I had the meeting. It was about social media and bits and pieces. And I was kind of sat there and just thinking, to be honest, it was the worst meeting ever because I just couldn't listen to what he was saying. And that's going to be really bad for me to say that because all I was doing was like, oh my God, I've never seen so much stuff in all my life. And being a Kawasaki fan, it was like I'd walked into Aladdin's cave.
Yeah, I'd go in there and we'd see Mitch and we'd go upstairs in the lift and we'd just be rummaging through, covered in shit and dirt.
That's where I was. Yeah. It was literally this desk in the middle of like this. And he was like, I'm really sorry about that. I'm like, no, we're fine.
No, exactly. So much shit. And it was great. But anyway, going back to the magazine thing. So Tim come in the truck and he's on his talk. So I went home, went down to Dorchester when I got back. And they said they wanted to start a motocross magazine. And I'm like, okay, you talk to me for.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a bit of DBR.
Yeah, do you want the DocWob series?
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm thinking. They want me to do that for them.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's all right. I can do that. And they're like, no, we want you to be editor. And I'm like, I'm not an editor, kid. I'm a lot of things. I'm not one of them. He said, don't worry about it. He said, what we need is somebody who knows some people who can get us in and get us a bit of recognition, gets a bit of traction. And I'm like, I can do that.
That's smart, though.
I can do that. And he's like, it's bi-monthly. And, you know, at Smith, you know, I'd be working Friday, Saturday at the Supercross, Sunday going to the next race, and I'd be not bored all week, but I had plenty of time. I spoke to my boss at Smith. He's like, as long as it doesn't encroach on what you're doing, and I'll tell you if it does.
Yeah.
He said, we'll be fine. So I did that for a few years until I literally ran out of ideas and motivation. Then Jeff Perrott come on and I stepped back to be assistant editor. So, and that suited me because it's just exhausting trying to think of new things all the time because we weren't doing bike tests. There's a lot of the normal magazine shit we weren't doing.
Yeah.
And that's your bread and butter. I mean, if you're not doing that, there's only so much lifestyle stuff
that you can do.
And it's like, you think of an idea, then Racer X do it. You're like, fuck.
Yeah. Now you look like you just
can't copy them. So it was just, I think what we did was good. I think what we came out of the gate with was,
I loved Motor Magazine when it first came out. It was a good great
thing. I think the best accolade I got from Motor Magazine was Sean Norfolk, who was Skip Norfolk, Jeremy's mechanic.
Yep.
His brother, Sean. And he was working for Mechanics Wear, I think, Axo Mechanics Wear.
Okay.
Jim Hale, who started Inside Motocross.
Okay.
Remember that 4 episodes? It was like a Bible.
Yeah.
And
was he the guy who created Mechanics Wear?
Yes. And he was in his office and they had the new copy of Motor Magazine. And he was looking through it and he said, you know what? This is what I wanted Inside Motocross to be.
Really?
Yeah. And Sean came out and rang me. He said, you ain't going to fucking believe what he just said to me. And I was like, that's good enough for me. Because that
guy
that was the Bible. That was, you know, they were the best magazines. And
because he was the guy who was the importer for Axo, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, was the importer. I think he was the Axo.
He was the Axo guy.
It was Renthal America, Axo Mechanics Wear. It was the coolest fucking brands.
Yeah. Because
the guy was cutting edge. The guy was really on the ball. And when he said, this is what I wanted Inside Motocross to be.
And who was the designer who he had alongside him? I can't remember his name, but the designer who designed all the early Axo stuff, which was awesome.
So fucking good.
I can't think.
I just don't know. Maybe I'm old. I don't know.
But that back then, though,
the fuck stuff was cool.
I know.
Everything was just fucking cool. And like,
you
know, the JT stuff, you know, Dalmatian JT stuff was big news.
Bad to the bone. Well, Ricky Johnson was how I got into JT.
But exactly. How can you not be into
my
that
school
stuff?
bag was a JT bad to the bone school bag.
It's the coolest shit in the world. And it's just, I don't know, maybe all those ideas have been spent now. You know what I mean? And maybe, like we go back to the internet, maybe, you know, these guys are not as big a names as they were. Maybe everybody's a bit famous rather than 5 people being really fucking famous. You know what I mean? Whoever said it was back in the day, everybody's going to be famous for 15 minutes. But it's kind of true.
Yeah. It is within our world now because...
It is. I mean, look, without sounding big-headed, you know, I'm just a fucking bod from Worcester. And I'm walking around, people are taking me picture and I'm just like, what the fuck do you want my picture for? But I don't know. It's like the internet's got a lot to answer for.
So Lewis used to say to me, like, you don't understand how big MxVice is on the outside. And I'd be like, kind of like a bit dismissive because it's my baby, it's like, I'm like you from Worcester, I'm from Midsomer, and
you're like, why is anybody interested?
Why is anybody interested? And my first realism really was, I got off the plane, Los Angeles for Anaheim 1, went into the Anaheim hotel, just checked in, like 10 hours on a plane, 45-minute journey, you know what it's like, and you're tired.
You're hanging.
And I'm in reception, and the kid and his dad is like, oh my God, it's James from mxvice.
I know.
And they literally went on to talk for 45 minutes. And I'm so tired, but like at the same time,
you don't want to be rude. You're loving it,
yeah. And it was pretty cool. And then things like went to Red Bud, and people were stopping, having a photo taken with me. And it's just like, this is just ridiculous. Like,
we were talking about Rob Andrews earlier. When I was working for Factory Suzuki in 97, 98, we were San Diego Supercross, and we were having a week on the 250s. We were 125 West Coast, so we're getting used to it on 250s. And Rob Andrews is there, and he came up to me in between sessions or whatever, gives it, fucking how the tables are turned. And I'm like, why? And he said, I'm telling people that used to be my mechanic. That used to be my mechanic.
Really?
And I'm like, that's nice. Fair play.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
Do you still chat to Rob?
Yeah, a little bit. He's in America quite a bit at the moment, but I still chat to him a lot. And all those guys who you dealt with, I saw Merv at Cardiff, and I speak to Mark Banks because Mark's title sponsor for the race. And
awesome,
like credit to Mark. I rang Mark the morning after we had the initial meeting saying we're going to do this, and Mark's like, I'm on title sponsor.
Amazing.
So by lunchtime, I'm ringing the other guys, got title sponsor. They're like, fuck off. And I'm like, these relationships are 30 years old, you know, and you don't go around fucking people around.
And that's the value. I mean, one thing I've learned from motocross is such a small community.
Oh my God.
I'm only 10 years in mxvice. You're 30 years in.
Yeah.
So, and it's quite funny. The people that have been there since day one, like the Rob Sartins who had Talon.
Yeah.
Rob was my first ever client. So when no one else believed in mxvice, Rob Sartin did.
Yeah, yeah.
And for 9 years, up until him selling the business, Talon was basically helped mxvice get to where it is.
Yeah, big news. I was talking to them this morning actually about getting into the States.
Okay. Well, they were in the States. I mean, that whole story is pretty crazy. Like the new owners have come in, and they've kind of like took their foot off the pedal.
I don't know. I think they're doing a really good job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I think they're doing a cracking job. I met him for the first time this year, and I was the guy who did some engineering for me. He's a road race guy, and he knew him. Yeah. And he's like, they're good lads, actually. He said, they're all right. You know what I mean? And they came over and spoke to him. Them boys are going to do well with it. And I think, Rob did really well, and Rob had an opportunity, and he got out, and it was great. He inherited it from his dad, and he did a cracking job, Yeah. But these guys, they've got the new triple clamps out. They're making swing arms. They're doing some quite trick stuff.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Doing some quite trick gear, and it's like, you watch. It's not a fast thing to do what they're doing.
But so they're putting the R&D into it. In their investment.
They're doing a good job. Yeah.
That's good. It's always great to see British businesses doing well.
Really, yes.
So that's what,
good for us all.
Great for us all.
And it's like people, I don't know if it's in life or just in motocross, but people like to see people fail for some reason. And I don't. I love to see people succeed because if my friends succeed, it's better for all of us.
Yep, and the pool's a lot bigger.
Better for all of us, which is why I think rather than shooting the electric thing down, let's welcome it. Let's just hope it brings more people. More people means more money. More money means more development. Everything's going to get better rather than just being insular and just thinking, like we're part of this niche. Well, it's going to be more niche here soon if you carry on. Yeah, because there's going to be less and less people doing it, and it's going to be less mainstream. Whereas if you can go mainstream with electric, get kids. I mean, I hope the prices come down. Like I was pissed, but I was telling the Suzuki engineers their fortune one time, and it was Colorado Nations, whatever year that was. Yeah, 2010, Denver, wasn't it? Yeah, Denver. Well, we were in the bar, some bar in downtown Denver with the Factory Suzuki guys who obviously know, and I was tired, but with drinking, that's not a good combination. And we're talking about bikes, and I'm like, I just built a RM250 engine into an RMZ frame. Why don't you fuckers do that? And he said, I wish we could. He said, that engine's cheap to produce, mega engine. I said, it goes in an RMZ chassis fairly fucking easily. It's not that hard. The air boot lines up, the pipe lines up. It's an easy one to do. I said, you should need to build one of those with an RM motor in it and sell it as a clubman racer. Sell it for $4,000.
Yeah.
Strap yourself in. They'll be everywhere. No, carrying on making RMZs. Fucking sell 15 a year, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Just
crazy.
I don't know. But the electric thing, I hope the Japanese get on board with it. I don't know why I hope that. I hope one day soon somebody's going to roll up at Anaheim one-on-one. I think it'd be marvellous.
So here's one for you, which, and we're talking about affordable bikes, and this was just come to mind. So I was at EICMA. There was a brand there, a Chinese brand. There's a big one, which is Cove. They're going into Paris-Dakar next year. They've already got a road bike in WSB 300 or something next year as well. They have developed a motocross bike.
Yeah.
And it looks good.
Yeah.
And
people want to slag China off because they do make a lot of junk. But, you watch your Panasonic TV and your Apple stuff's all made there.
Yep.
And it's all about speccing the quality. It's nothing to do with the country. If you want the cheapest, you're going to get the junk. But if you spec a quality and you spec, the stuff comes out of there nice. Like I just bought a load of, the big surfing changing robes. I don't want to use the name.
Yeah, I know the ones,
Yeah. Well, I found out where it makes them.
Ooh.
And so we've got DocWob ones coming and VMXDN ones coming.
Love that.
Only 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's still a big enough bill.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have them, we're going to sell them for 99 quid. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Because the real ones were not real. The same fucking factory.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like the, for instance, with H&H Sports, which is just one. Yeah. They make 7 other brands' helmets.
Yeah. Of course they do, yeah. HJC were making everybody's Fox helmets and everything for forever, weren't they?
Yeah. So interestingly, EICMA, the amount of new, and interestingly, there was one bike which was on a stand, looked very similar to a KTM, and guess how much that was wholesale? Mm-hmm. Is a 250 FCC. Looked a very, very good bike. They also had a pretty much a copy of a Suron there as well.
Okay.
I can show you the photos in a minute. Wholesale, $3,500.
Oh, lovely. And that's what the sport needs.
And to look at the bike, I mean, I'd love to get that bike and give it to you for you to have a look at. But you got to start to think that like they're looking for a $6,000 retail price on that.
Yeah.
Which obviously there's some good money there for a dealer to make. But what you've got is, what looked like a KTM, but a KTM for $6,000.
Yeah.
So what, $5,500 retail price?
Exactly. It's half the price.
Yeah.
I mean, the only problem with the Chinese stuff at the moment is it is the cheaper end stuff. And I get people at Christmas time, I want to buy a quad for my kid. Okay, well, get yourself an old LT50 Suzuki. Well, I can get this Chinese one for 300 quid. I'm like, yes, you can.
Yeah, you can. You might buy 3.
You're gonna break it, and then you're not going to be able to get the parts, or it's wasted money.
Yeah.
I said, you spend 500 quid on an LT50, and then in 2 years, when your kid's grown out of it or bored, you can get 500 quid for it.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest present you'll ever buy.
Yeah.
Whereas if you buy that, it's gone.
Yeah.
This is disposable. This isn't. As you try telling people, but it's, at the moment, there's not the backup, there's not the spares, there's not the dealer network. But I did see one brand, and the name escapes me for a second. It's an American company who got a Chinese bike, but they've spec'd it to be pretty good.
Okay.
It's not Reju. What are they? Are they?
No, I think is it REIJA? JU, is it?
JU,
okay.
Is that them? I don't know.
I don't know. They were EICMA as well.
Yeah, but there was a brand and it's Chinese and they'll have the same kind of money and it looks like a Beta. It looks good.
Yeah,
everything looks nice. But if there's the network and the support where you can buy parts, then I don't see why it's not a goer. And the more money, like we say with Suron, the more units they sell, the more they'll develop, the more they'll put back into it. And if they're getting complaints that quality is not, they will up the quality because it will cost money to up the quality, but they will do what the market demands.
Well, I was talking to the guys at Cove, and they basically manufacture every part in-house.
Yeah, nice.
And then there was this other brand, which was BNK, and they had, I think it was like Renthal bars, Brembo brakes,
nice,
a few other bits, but everything else was made in-house. So it's like, I guess they're looking at it as though we're going to produce a bike, but we're also going to be able to produce all the parts for the bike because we're China.
I've never really understood why the motorcycle industry, and I know that they tried it for a little bit, is you don't go and buy a standard car, do you?
No.
You buy a car and you spec it up.
Well, you want your electric windows.
Well, they sell you all them bits.
You want your
anybody who's bought anything will go and look at a car and go, well, that's all right money. And then all of a sudden it's extra money for everything.
Yeah.
It's never come on a motocross bike, is it? And I know KTM were going to do that. KTM were with the factory editions, etc.
Yeah.
That is a spec.
So you could get your Talon wheels. You can get
all that stuff. Yeah. Well, they were going to do a build your own. The Talon wheels, this much money, this is extra money, a Kropovich pipe, because they haven't got to put the stock stuff on. And they buy it in such quantity, and a Kropovich pipe, for example, is 1,400 quid. It wasn't 1,400 quid to put one on a bike.
No.
Because it's a stock pipe they're not having to make, and they're buying them, and so it was 800 quid to put a pipe on it.
Yeah.
Rather than you getting a bike and taking all them bits off and just having them sat under your bench.
Yeah.
But then I think they bought Husqvarna. And Husqvarna was originally a spec'd up KTM, wasn't it? When they first came out, it had better rims on it.
Yeah.
DID rims, had better forks. And now they've kind of gone the other way. I think they're looking now, don't quote me on this, but they're looking at, I think maybe the KTM being like the Enduro brand and the Husqvarna being the motocross brand. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the gas is a little bit cheaper.
Cheaper option, same bike.
Yeah, and then they've obviously bought into MV Augusta, and I've heard that could potentially be a bike in the future.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean,
but then we've possibly got that. We've got Triumph. We've got Ducati.
The Triumph thing would be interesting, wouldn't it?
But I
can't believe the Triumph isn't electric. Why would you spend all that money developing a petrol engine?
But I'm kind of thinking that maybe there's going to be one. This is their entry into the market. They've bought what was
Triumph was so good at keeping quiet though. When they did the road bike stuff, nobody saw it coming. And they've got Ricky on board. I know they nearly had Ryan. I don't know if he's signed, but they were approaching Ryan about doing stuff. They've got the old factory Kawasaki KRT guys on board, and they're fucking serious. They don't mess they don't mess about.
Yeah, I spoke to Thierry quite a bit.
Yeah, and they're serious players. And you think, here we go.
They're not playing at this.
No. This is going to be serious. It's just a bit of a, I don't know. It could be electric for all I know, but like we are, like you say, we're looking at a time of change that, like it was from the 2-stroke to 4-stroke. Now we're looking at 4-stroke into electric.
Yeah.
Why would you bring all that money and development in developing a 4-stroke engine, which, from looking from the outside, has got very limited shelf life?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it is. And, these people know more than I do. They're very smart and it's very trick. And I, for one, can't wait to see it. It's going to be something else. And I know if Rick is involved and the KT guys, and I know Paul Edmondson's been involved a little bit. He won't tell me anything about it because he signed non-disclosures.
Yeah. Love a non-disclosure.
He's been, I know.
Well, and they obviously purchased Osset.
Mm.
So Osset with the battery bikes, it's, who knows?
I know. It's like Harley Davidson bought out
Stasic, wasn't it?
No, what was it?
That is their brand. Alta, yeah. And
for the technology.
Yeah, because I spoke to, was it Derek Dorenstein, who had Alta at the time, and I spoke to him when Alta done the Erzberg Enduro for the first time. And I was super excited about that bike because the bike looks so good. I spoke to Derek, he was excited.
Out of all the manufacturers, the last one I'd have thought want to go electric would be Harley Davidson, and they were the first.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think, for their market, their normal customers would be the last person to buy an electric bike.
But when you see all the development what went into Alta, it's like, at what point did Yamaha, Suzuki, the Japanese, why didn't they just figure out what Harley Davidson
had
figured out and just said, they've done all the hard work for us.
We'll just buy it off them. Yeah.
Boom.
I don't understand, we haven't even seen a Kawasaki electric thing, and apparently they're making them. And the Honda one we've seen a couple of times, but I mean, that's 2 or 3 years now. Where is it?
Yeah. And they're still testing. I've seen them not leaked pictures, but I've seen pictures from a Japanese race.
Where is it? Let's see it.
But again, even when they do bring these bikes out, what the hell's the FIM going to do?
I think they'd be all right in 450 class, open class, MX1, whatever, because there's no limit on power for that. The bikes are too fast as it is. But how are they going to limit the power on a 250? The only way they can do it is limit the battery power, I think.
But then we know, like, we got people who can literally hack your internet broadband at home. So
it's going to be next to impossible to, I was about with when they were, they were putting the switches on the shift drums so it wouldn't rev when it's in neutral.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to do a noise control and put it in gear, then pull the clutch in, the thing sounds different. You're just like, but there's some very smart people out there who are hell-bent on getting past the rules, you know?
Yeah.
And there's also, you know, you got to remember that sound thing's going to be gone. So the FIM technical people are going to have to be concentrating on someone else.
Yeah, well, those people with sound control could be
out of a job.
Battery control.
Exactly. But, you know, I don't know. It's the battery technology, I suppose, is holding it back, but, you know, you've only got to look how fast that's coming on.
And can you imagine where battery's going to be in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I know. And it's like when you look back, you know, going back to cars, you know, like a Nissan Leaf, a 10-year-old Nissan Leaf's got like a range of 35 miles. It's fucking scrapping it.
Yeah.
And so I don't think the eco thing on the cars is really working out because the cars haven't got the shelf life. No. So you haven't to have a new one in 5 years as opposed to a petrol car still going in 20 years.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see whether but they're definitely getting smaller, lighter, faster, hopefully cheaper.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing for me is making motocross more accessible to new people coming in and to keep people into sport because, you know, over £10,000 now for a bike.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be that way until the battery come down. But the government and the big corporations are really working hard on the battery thing. And like I know an Austrian guy whose grandparents were one of the founders of Audi cars. And his job is to liaise between KTM and Audi on battery technology.
Okay.
Because they're both funded by the Austrian government. And he's a go-between between the two.
Wow.
And so KTM have got exclusive use, I believe, of Samsung batteries through Audi, same battery technology.
Crazy.
So, but how they haven't come out with a proper electric bike is... How can they be seeing this development coming and not being they've got flat out into it?
KTM 50, aren't they? And they played around with another electric one. Was it dual purpose? I can't remember.
Free ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one.
Yeah.
Good. Once came in part exchange. I'm having this.
Yeah.
And it was great. But they said it was 125, but it wasn't as fast as 125.
Was it not?
And it didn't last that long, but it was a fun little thing.
It was fun.
A fun little thing. I enjoyed riding it. All my friends had a go on it, and it was all right. It was great. But you know, you were well aware of how expensive and how, if you screwed the battery up, the bike was written off pretty much.
Which is crazy, hey?
Yeah, and I think until they can have a interchangeable battery, and you can go to a race with 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, so literally one race, boom.
You can charge them and plug them in, and then go. But they're saying that Stark Varg's got some good battery life, and I'd love to. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be good. And you know, I know Tortelli really well, and I know he's paid to say it's good. But knowing Sebastian as I know him, I don't think he would if it wasn't.
No, but Martin Barr tested it for mxvice and impressed. I know that JT tested it as well.
Yeah,
everybody's saying good stuff.
I think it's going to be good. But why Yamaha haven't come out with one, or Kawasaki, or.
Well, interestingly, Anton, I worked with at 24MX. So,
were they not investors in Stark Varg or not? I thought
they are.
I thought they were behind it.
So Anton and I think Daniel is who started, but basically Anton and Daniel were basically started 24MX.
Yeah,
and they've obviously sold out, and they've put that in with a lot of money from the Spanish government.
That's why it's in Barcelona.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense. But I knew they were heavily involved.
Yeah, heavily involved.
And I saw Sebastian at Cardiff, and I went, fucking look at you, all dressed sharp in your suit and everything.
Yeah, of course, because he was with Anton at the time, yeah.
He was. Lovely geezer. But I was with Sebastian when his last race when he got hurt.
Okay.
One industry was paying me to look after his helmets because I was the goggle guy anyway.
Yeah.
And they're like, you going to all the Grand Prix? I'm like, yeah. Well, can you look after Sebastian's helmet for us? What do you mean look after?
Yeah, what do I do?
What do I do? Oh, just have a bag full of liners.
Some peaks.
Just sit there and clean it up in between races. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
That's doable. It's another job ticked off.
I'll get me sponge.
Another job ticked off the list. I can do that. Strange enough, I never even got to keep one.
Did you not?
No, he got hurt and they all went in the bag and disappeared in the truck. Never saw him again.
And that was it? Damn.
Yeah, never see it again.
I can only imagine what the man cave and your personal collection must look like.
I got a lot of shit.
Some of MXvices
you've got some good swag around you. Credit to you.
We got the Ryan Dudgy Wheaties box.
I've got one of them.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah, is that Ricky helmet?
Yeah, Ricky helmet. That's a present from the wife. So that was signed. And then I managed to get the Carmichael shirt here.
Lovely.
Which Ricky signed at the when he done the Carmichael Academy at Fat Cats.
Oh, fair play.
But the him signing it's actually rubbed off. So yeah,
we can get him to redo it.
Yeah.
I got some stories about Ricky that are for a different time.
Well, that we're definitely going to bring you back for another one.
He's a boy. He's fucking funny. He is.
Do you know what? It's again, like people say, like, don't meet your heroes and stuff like that. But like, obviously, RJ, I've still not managed to meet him properly because I can't speak to the guy. But Ricky Carmichael, every time, him and JH, his manager, have been awesome with mxvice over the years.
Lovely people.
Yeah.
And, I got to know Ricky when we were racing against him with ours with Reynard in 98, and he was an 18-year-old kid.
I did listen to the podcast, and I did laugh when you said you cost me $22,000.
Yeah, they told him, and the look on his face was nice that he was like horrified. And I was like,
I guess there's things I didn't think of.
No, I said, fucking every week cost me 1,500 quid. Every time we get second and you win, it's like 1,500 quid less for me. But I get on great with Ricky, and like all them years I was at Smith, we used to go to Loretta's, and the guy was on his A game, but he'd go to Loretta's for the week and just have fun. And I mean, like, we got so ripped at Loretta Lynn beer tent one time. I mean, me and Scott Taylor as the Fox guy, we had to buy the DJ new equipment.
Oh wow,
we fucked it up that bad with beer thrown around. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, me and him had to pay for new equipment.
That's not cheap.
No, it was a big do. It was funny. It was chaos because there was like this funny little trailer thing, and they were selling these beers for like $2 each. And we were, you go and have $10 worth, and you'd have a beer each. And then it just got Larry, and somebody went in Emmig's wallet. Emmig said, "Get around in," and they grabbed $100 bill out of Emmig's
for
wallet.
$2 beers.
Yeah, and they're like, stupid question. How many do I get for that? We get 50, don't you? So there's 50 beers on the counter now for anybody who wants them. And then it got to be next $100 is on this guy. Next $100. I think we did $400 on $2 beers.
Oh shit!
Can you imagine?
Yeah, carnage. Absolute
carnage. And we got Boo, who's Ricky's bus driver. Anybody at the time you have to have a camera, not a phone.
Yeah.
And anybody taking pictures, he'd just go and rip the film out of the camera.
Really?
Chaos. And we had so much fun. And this was in mid-season of him winning like every round.
See, again, that's another reason why the fun's gone from this stuff, because riders can't relax.
I don't know if I think the internet or the phones, everybody's got a camera, everybody's got an opinion.
You can't do anything.
Everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got a camera, everybody's got, fuck it. It's just like, like I do stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and every post I put on, somebody's got a better opinion. You're like, it makes you not want to do it. It makes everybody's busting for more information, and it makes me not want to, because the one person who's going to be like, doing that wrong.
Yeah.
Or I could weld that better. I'm sure you could. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
but I don't know why people feel like they need to fucking.
I don't know. It's like,
where's the need to fucking? If I see stuff, I mean, I could. It sounds horrible, but I see people's bikes. I could rip them apart. I could sit there and say, "Fucking hell, nice cable routing. Oh, look at that." I don't. No. I don't feel the need to.
No.
I don't feel like. I'm like, you know what? He's having a go. That's his bet. Good for you.
Yeah, you've tried it.
I'm fucking pleased for it. If you message me and say, How do I do it better? How do I do this? I'll tell you.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to offer that information just to be a twat.
Yeah.
And take the piss out of people and laugh at you. And I'm like, that ain't cool.
Or actually help you after you've insulted me.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's one of the, mxvice was started on the back of things like Facebook and stuff like that. So like, I can't moan about it because that's how the business happened. But we're coming to like we're coming from a 4-stroke to an electric. In terms of my business, social media is changing. Things are changing.
Massive.
So we're going through a massive change at mxvice at the moment. And with, departure of Lewis and Sean and Wes and the people that were coming in, we've already got one eye on what's happening next. And the people that I'm employing are for what's happening next.
Yeah.
Because, a bit like you have to.
Well, we don't, as a business, for both DocWob and the race, we don't advertise anywhere. Don't spend any money on advertising. We don't have a budget.
It's word of mouth.
No such thing. It's just, we pay Charlene, who's Tony's my main mechanic. It's his wife, and she's mega. And so she's good on the social media stuff. I bang stuff on Instagram, share it. I'm not very good at it, but I have a go. Yeah. And, what am I doing? Like this morning before I came out, I'll build it. Suzuki rear wheel. So I took a few pictures of it going together, and somebody will have an opinion. Well, you're doing that all wrong. I'm like, fucking really. But, you have to just look past it and not get offended, not get personal. Sometimes you have to just...
But it's hard when you're a little bit tired. And
it's really hard. And like, sometimes somebody will say something and I'll be like, right, let's have a look at your fucking bike.
Yeah.
And I'll go on the profile and I'll be like, whoa, should I start?
Yeah.
And my missus is like, no, don't be a dick.
Step away.
And I'm like, I want to, but...
Yeah, my wife's exactly the same. She's like, you need to put your phone down now. And you need to go and do something else.
Yeah, no, and it's just, like we're all allowed to have opinions, of course we are.
Yeah.
But don't be a dick.
No
fucking need.
No one needs it.
We're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
We're all having a go. You know what I mean? There's people who I don't like and there's people who don't like me. And that's, if everybody likes you, you're doing something wrong, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, do you know what the funniest thing is? Like, everybody has an opinion about me. And it could be from a variety of reasons, people I've employed, and you have to be a certain level. I want people at a certain level, and if you don't meet that level, then
I've got a list of people who have worked for me, don't work for me anymore, and I'm the biggest dick they ever walked.
Same as me.
If you're any good at your job, you still be here.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah,
and it's like
I can completely relate to that, and it's like I've got a list of people who why isn't my team or why am I not featured on mxvice? And it's like, well. Unfortunately, when I put anything about your team or whatever on, no one reads it. So, and I'm then vilified for being honest.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, well, I don't know what to do. I could help you be more relevant, and I could help you, but you have to ask me rather than come up to me and be a dick.
Yeah, I know. And I get it with the titanium. Like we sign non-disclosure agreements with all teams. So I can't tell you what KTM have or what they do different or what Yamaha factory do, or I can't tell you.
No.
Because it's not worth it.
No, because that's the end of it.
It's the end of it. Why would I shoot myself in the foot? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that guy. So, we do little pictures, but we can't say
what you're doing.
We can't say 10% of what we're up to because I'd be in court. I'd lose the deal. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And it's,
What's next for DocWob?
Fucking hell. Well, we got, obviously the race is going to go from strength to strength, we think. So that's going to be good.
Yep.
At the moment, secondhand bike sales are crap. So I'm hoping that comes back because at the moment it's not very good at all.
Which obviously we spoke a little bit before. Last couple of years have been absolutely amazing. And then all of a sudden it seems to slow down a little bit.
That's really quiet. So I've took the money that I was buying and selling all them bikes with, and I'm starting to make more parts.
That's cool.
Oversized brake kits, engine case guards, frame guards, all this stuff that got discontinued. You couldn't buy it anymore.
Yeah.
If we could either copy it or come up with it, like we're just making KX 250 frame guards now. We're getting the old bit of cardboard, cutting it out, offering it up,
making it work,
making it work, or, like factory Kawasaki chain guides. They were always like holy grail. Well, we've had them made.
Awesome.
HRC stuff.
And is that branded under your DocWob brand?
It's all DocWob. Yeah, it's all DocWob. We were going down the road with another brand called Superlight because I was conscious that the DocWob brand was going to stop when I stopped.
Yeah.
Because it was me going to race teams, buying stuff and selling it.
Yeah, yeah.
But, going to Cardiff, going to Foxhill, whatever, you're getting stopped every 10 foot and it's DocWob. Nobody said it's the bloke from Superlight.
Yeah. So you're kind of building a brand, which you don't need to.
And I thought, we were pushing for a brand name that could be sold. Not that I'm going anywhere.
No.
But that turns out that it's DocWob's the brand.
It is the brand.
And so, and I'd like to think we're top end. When you got factory KTM, Husky, factory Gas, factory Yamaha, factory Kawasaki, all these guys buying stuff off us.
Yeah.
Got to be doing something right.
Well, this is the thing with the brand. They're buying the brand because of the knowledge what comes with the brand.
Yeah.
30 years of knowledge which goes into the parts.
You get certain teams, and I'm not mentioning names because I can't, but, they're bending like front engine mount bolts. Not ours, stock ones.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, we need to change this, change the thread. We'll do this, we'll do that. And I'm offering up solutions. And they're trying, that's fixed it. Or they're bending, certain guys would be bending linkage bolts. And you're like, fucking hell. Okay, well, we'll make the hole bigger because, believe it or not, making a hole bigger in a bolt makes it stronger. Back to front, I know. But it's got sidewalls then. It's actually easier to bend a solid bar than it is a hollow tube.
Okay.
So
work that one out.
There is a theory out there.
Yeah, I'd be lost. That you can't
go too much, but there is a theory that the sidewall. So we're changing stuff up. And, these teams are asking my advice. I'm like, fuck, you should know better. But I suppose it's a bit of a go-to thing with all of us, Yeah,
they know what they know.
It seems to be. And, you go to these teams and, like we had one team we went to and I sent them some samples and I'm like, we want to be involved. So if you need any toy stuff, let me know. About 3 months later, I get an email. Can you come and see us? So we went to a Grand Prix. And I went in and I was like, so I guess the stuff's all right then. I said, well, you wouldn't be fucking talking to you if it wasn't. I'm like, okay. I said, well, we've got all the specs and materials. He said, that's okay. We sent it to a lab. We know what it is. So
to a lab?
To a lab. It's gone to a lab for testing before they'd even speak to me. Okay.
Jesus.
And they're like, that's good. No problem. And, then the same team, a different team actually, I was talking about the linkage bolts. We made linkage bolts for them. And, okay, we'll try them. And we have to make 100. So they had 10 sets. I've got fucking 90 sets in a packet at home. It's a lot of money. And again,
a lot of money.
6 weeks, 7 weeks down the road, we get an email. It's all in a foreign language. And I look at it and picture the broken bolt. And I'm like, fuck, he's broken. And these are fast lads. There's no surprise. It's okay. It's fixable.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it, I'm trying to scan, and I'm, when you first look at something, your eyes are flicking, fucking hell. Then I go back up to read the text, and it's all in a foreign language, then it's in English. And it's like, we've had great success. And I'm like, it fucking broke. I'm like, what do you mean you had great success with it? It's fucking busted. So I'm reading it, and it said it on the test bench, it failed at 400 hours. It started to show fractures at 300 and failed at 400 hours. And they're like, well, how long does anybody else use them for? And I'm like, 3 Grand Prix, like 9 hours. They're like, oh, we're okay then. You're like, holy shit. Fucking hell.
Yeah, it just gave me a heart attack. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
But now the good thing is
now
they've ordered for 400.
They've ordered 100 sets now. So
awesome. So again, it's like anything. You have to take a chance, don't you?
Oh, fucking hell. It's a massive gamble. Everything's a massive gamble. But I don't bet on the horses. I'm not interested in anything else. My gamble is, I buy cars for fun. And take a punt that the price is going to go up, not down. It is what it is.
Really?
Yeah. And it is, it's, and the network, the old boys network goes deep in motocross.
Okay.
And I fancied one of those little Toyota Yaris GRs, little rally car.
Yeah.
Turns out Phil Neal, do you remember him?
Yeah, Phil Neal, yeah.
He runs the Cinetic BMW road race team, but his family own a salvage yard.
Ah, okay.
He said, we got one in the yard. I'm like, have you? He sent me some pictures. Well, mega. So I ended up buying that. So that's off being sorted out now. It's being fixed. It's a lovely little thing. And that's my fun. I do that. That's cool. That's my enjoyment.
Yeah. Outside of what you do, that's your...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gives me a buzz. And if you get it wrong, you get it wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes it don't work out. Sometimes it does.
Exactly,
what I mean? It is what it is. So that's what I do for a bit of fun. But it's... I got electric trials bike. That's my next.
Really?
Yeah. Fucking lovely. I mean, if the electric thing's ever suited to anything, it's a trials bike.
You've seen great success in that then?
Fucking hell, them things perfect power delivery, perfect everything. And it's like, you got the front brake on the right, the rear brake on the rear. You're not even a rear brake pedal.
See, I was watching Trial Tube, which is Danny. Does the extreme mountain bike.
Cool.
No, oh God, I can't believe I forgot his name. I chat to him all the time. But basically, he was. No,
fucking hell, listen to me throwing out the Dannies.
Yeah, I know. Oh God, I have to have a look on my phone. But basically, he on Trial Tube, he was literally testing an electric trials bike and just said he couldn't find a fault with it.
I got an EM, electric motion, a French one, and.
Danny Butler. It's come to me now.
Danny Butler, yeah.
Sorry, Danny.
I like the thing. The thing's, I've always had a trials bike all my life. And the thing I'm excited to go out and ride it, which is the first for me, really. It's, I don't know about washing it, though.
No.
I've got to be cautious.
Well, yeah, electric's water.
Exactly. I don't really want to be steam cleaning that thing, but it's, I'm excited about that one.
Buddy, I know you got to get on. I know you got to navigate the traffic through Bristol and everything else.
I've got to go back through Bristol.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Do I?
Well, you can go around, actually. If you're going up to Gloucester, you could probably, might be able to get around. I'll show you a little shortcut.
I don't want to go to Bristol.
I just want to say thanks ever so much for coming down. I know, obviously, we don't want to drop names, but you are picking up Chad Reed's suspension.
I am, yes. Yeah, Chad asked me to, he messaged me before... the Cardiff race. Said, look, could you ship some stuff home for me? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And can you bring a leaf blower? I'm like, fucking leaf
blower. I was going to ask you about the leaf blower.
The leaf blower. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm not even going to ask what he wants a leaf blower for.
Did you?
So my missus dropped me off because you couldn't park. Yeah. I'm walking through Cardiff with a fucking leaf blower.
Leaf blower, amazing.
I look like I'm going to a fancy dress. So I've gone down the stadium and I'm like, what do you need this for, kid? And they're like, well, if you look at the schedule, the 3 main races are so close together, we're going to use it to blow the rads out. Okay, there you go. Makes sense.
Okay.
And then, of course, he got hurt. So
no leaf blower.
I didn't need the leaf blower. The suspension, I didn't want to go back into the pits after the race.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we can get it back to Barry from Phoenix. Oh, okay, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Then I'm in the hotel after. Oh, Chad got hurt. How is he? Yeah, no problem. Oh, you couldn't just ship his gear back home, could you? Because we're going to Australia. We don't fancy carrying it because he ain't going to race now. So we're still going to Australia.
Yeah.
But you don't need his gear with him. So could you ship us that? So I've got 2 bags of his gear in my office.
Amazing.
And now I've got his suspension. So his mechanic's now home. And he's like, can you send it to us? I'm like, I haven't got it yet.
Yeah,
I need to go and see James.
Go and collect it. Yeah, brilliant. No, it's no. I just want to say thanks for coming down.
It's a pleasure.
I'd love to get you back. I'd love to do a more in depth when we got some more time.
If people are interested, I'm always up for it. And I think we need to talk more about promotion, doing social media stuff. I'm up for anything. Need to do. I understand it's an important part, and I'm trying to put stuff on that we're doing every day. And you wonder, who gives a shit? But people seem to like it.
Do you know what? So. A lot of people give a shit. So, and also, obviously, the brand, the DocWob brand coming out, I'm interested to see how this is going to grow as well, because I think it's going to just develop, who you're working with and who you're talking to. It's only going to go on to bigger things. And then, obviously, VMXDN, we got to get Dave in. And I've got some questions for you guys with,
we got some big news coming up for that stuff as well. And I really can't talk about it, but because if we talk about it, it doesn't happen. You look like you're full of shit. But
if it does happen,
it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And so, if you keep working on these things, if half of them happen, you're having a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's mxvice all over. I go in. There's so many things I want to do. Like, I tried my hardest to get Zach on to be co-host on the show, and unfortunately, his kind of life's changed a little bit. So it didn't quite work out. But yeah, we need
to get you to Foxhill, bring along and come and do some podcast stuff. We tried to get Steve Mathis in. He was doing it. Spoke to Ping. He was going to do it, and I think now they've seen it. I think they're going to be on board for this year.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'll definitely be there. 100%.
There's Mitch's words to me, Mitch Payton from Pro Circuit. I said about it. He's like, it's the same weekend as the Ironman. He said, if we're not in a contention for a championship,
he's coming.
I said, you ain't coming. He said, never say never, kid. So I ain't saying he is.
Yeah.
But he ain't saying he ain't either. So
that's cool.
And so we got a few things, massive things lined up. And if they happen, it's going to be big. But I think it's going to be big either way. So
yeah. No, it's like I said, from what I've seen, it's if you want to go, if you want to enjoy everything that's great about motocross, then that weekend will tick every single one of your boxes.
Yeah, we hope so. And we're trying to make it value for money. It's 50 quid for a ticket for the weekend. Jackpot. We're not ripping the arse out of people.
No, I mean, what do you pay camping for a weekend
60
with the family?
Camping. Yeah. I mean, like, we go camping, it's £100 a night.
Exactly.
And I know, you've got shower blocks and all that. I get that. But it's, you don't get live music and...
Nah.
We go to these local festivals as a family. It cost me 350 quid.
Yeah.
For the same thing, for us, it's 150 quid. You know what I mean? So we're trying to make it value for money. And by keeping the price right, you get more people there, which pays for more atmosphere. And then the food vendors do better. The beer people do better.
Yeah.
Everything's better. So we got a few issues to deal with in the first race. The security were a bunch of pricks. So we get that fixed. More toilets, more bins, more bars, more everything, because we just weren't expecting the quantity of people.
No, which obviously
it's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have. So, and again, it's like anything. When you do it for the first time, it's just going to be good. There's going to be bad, but it's basically what you take onto the second
exactly.
one.
And I don't want to be down on it because it was a great weekend, and everybody will tell you that. And it's weird to. People tell me that Ryan, he raves about it. He's like, anybody who listen, he'll tell her how great that race was. Because he got to be himself. He wasn't, no pressure. Yeah. And he's coming back. He's bringing his kids. His kids never saw him race.
Really?
You can watch all the videos you want. He said, but I want the kids to see this.
That's very cool.
And they're going to be 7 next year. And he said, I want the kids to come and see the dad.
Super cool.
And so, that's neat. And, everybody's... I don't want to shoot the bolt by saying who's coming because Charlene, our social media girl, will fucking kill me.
Yeah, let's not put you on the.
She's got no content then.
Let's not put you on the spot, but
it's going to be big.
Yeah, we'll get you back in 100%.
Yeah, and if you want to come to the race, anything you want to do, just come along and we're open for everything. Anything that's gets the word out, and anything that, if you get some content